Mercedes never saw this coming. Kimi Antonelli shocked everyone. Imagine this for a second. One violent crash, millions of dollars in damage, headlines exploding across the Formula One world, and one question echoing everywhere. Did Mercedes make a huge mistake by trusting Kimi Antonelli? That was the mood after Antonelli's high-profile practice accident. Social media was ruthless. Critics said he was too young, too inexperienced, and nowhere near ready to carry the pressure of replacing a seven-time world champion. The comparisons with Lewis Hamilton were impossible to escape. For over a decade, Hamilton wasn't just Mercedes's biggest star, he became the identity of the team itself. Every championship, every unforgettable victory, every dramatic comeback added another chapter to one of Formula One's greatest legacies. So when Hamilton decided to move on, the biggest challenge for Mercedes wasn't simply finding another talented driver. The real challenge was finding someone brave enough to step into a seat that had become almost mythical. A seat where every mistake would be magnified, every success would be compared to history, and every lap would be judged against one of the greatest drivers the sport has ever seen. And then came Kimi Antonelli. One crash was enough for thousands of people to write his story before it had even begun. The internet moved quickly. Headlines declared that Mercedes had gambled too much. Fans questioned Toto Wolff's judgment. Experts wondered whether the team had rushed their future star into Formula One before he was truly ready. But here's the question almost nobody stopped to ask. What if that accident wasn't the end of the story? What if it was actually the beginning of something far more important? Every legendary Formula One driver has experienced moments that made the world doubt them. Max Verstappen was once criticized for being too aggressive. Charles Leclerc made painful mistakes while fighting for victories. George Russell faced years of questions before proving his talent. Even Lewis Hamilton had difficult races where critics wondered if he could handle the pressure, yet none of those moments defined their careers, their response did. And that is exactly where Antonelli's story suddenly became fascinating. Instead of hiding behind excuses, he accepted responsibility. He didn't blame the car. He didn't point fingers at the engineers. He didn't complain about bad luck. He simply admitted the mistake, learned from it, and returned to work. That single decision quietly earned enormous respect inside Mercedes, even while the outside world continued attacking him. Think about it for a moment. In Formula One, raw speed gets headlines, but mentality earns trust. Mercedes never doubted Antonelli's natural talent. They had watched him dominate junior categories, outperform experienced rivals, and display incredible racecraft from a very young age. They had invested years developing him through their junior program. They had already seen something special long before the cameras arrived. The real question was never whether he could drive fast. The real question was whether he could recover when everything went wrong. And little by little, the answer started revealing itself. Engineers noticed he became calmer under pressure. His communication over the radio improved. His technical feedback became more detailed. His understanding of tire management grew stronger. His confidence slowly returned without becoming overconfident. Session after session, weekend after weekend, Antonelli looked less like a nervous rookie and more like a driver learning at an astonishing pace. Isn't that what separates future champions from ordinary drivers? Not perfection, but adaptation. While fans focused on one dramatic accident, Mercedes focused on everything else. They studied telemetry data, braking consistency, corner entry speed, throttle application, steering precision, tire degradation, race simulations, communication with engineers, emotional control, and countless tiny details invisible to television audiences. Those numbers never trend on social media. They never become viral clips. But inside Formula One garages, those invisible details often matter far more than spectacular headlines. Mercedes understood something many people outside the sport often forget. Development is never a straight line. Progress isn't measured by avoiding mistakes forever. Progress is measured by how quickly a driver transforms mistakes into experience. Every champion has scars. Every legend has weekends they wish they could erase. The difference is that true champions refuse to let one failure define their future. That philosophy perfectly matches everything Mercedes has built over the past decade. They were never searching for perfection, they were searching for potential. And every week Antonelli seemed to unlock a little more of it. Now imagine the pressure from his perspective. You're still a teenager walking into one of the most successful Formula One teams in history. Every mechanic remembers championship celebrations with Lewis Hamilton. Every engineer has memories of title-winning strategies. Every journalist asks whether you can replace a legend before you've even completed your first full season. Every camera follows your smallest mistake. Every interview becomes another comparison with someone who spent years dominating the sport. How many young drivers could survive that level of expectation? How many would crumble before they ever had the chance to prove themselves? Yet Antonelli continues showing up. He continues learning. He continues absorbing every lesson. And perhaps that quiet determination is exactly what Mercedes believed in all along. Maybe they never expected him to be another Lewis Hamilton. Maybe they expected him to become something entirely different. Because replacing Hamilton is impossible. No driver can recreate his journey, his achievements, or his legacy. But building the first Kimi Antonelli, that is a completely different mission. A mission based not on copying history, but on creating new history. That idea changes everything. Suddenly, every setback becomes part of the learning process instead of proof of failure. Every difficult weekend becomes another opportunity to grow. Every criticism becomes fuel rather than distraction. And perhaps that is why Mercedes never appeared as worried as the outside world expected them to be. They weren't looking only at today. They were looking at the next 5 years. They were looking at the driver Antonelli could become rather than the rookie he currently was. That kind of long-term thinking has always separated championship-winning teams from everyone else. The media loves instant reactions, fans love dramatic conclusions, social media rewards controversy more than patience, but Formula One has always rewarded something different: consistency, growth, resilience, mental strength. Those qualities rarely create viral headlines, but they create world champions, and Antonelli is slowly proving that he may possess all of them. The biggest surprise isn't that he's fast. Mercedes already knew that years ago. The biggest surprise is how mentally composed he has remained despite worldwide criticism. Instead of shrinking beneath impossible expectations, he seems more determined than ever to silence every doubter. Every clean lap writes a new chapter. Every improved performance forces critics to reconsider. Every confident weekend reminds the paddock why Mercedes placed so much faith in him. So here's the biggest question of all. What if everyone has been looking at the wrong moment? What if history won't remember the crash as the day Antonelli failed? What if history remembers it as the day his real Formula One journey truly began? Because sometimes greatness doesn't begin with flawless victories. Sometimes it begins with painful lessons, relentless determination, and the courage to stand back up when the entire world expects you to stay down. And if Kimi Antonelli continues developing at this pace, Mercedes may not have simply found another talented driver. They may have discovered the foundation of their next championship era. The story is still being written, the pressure is only getting bigger, and the biggest chapters may still be ahead. So the next time someone says Mercedes made the wrong decision, ask yourself one simple question. What if Mercedes saw something that everyone else completely missed? Because in Formula One, the greatest stories often begin exactly where everyone else stops believing. And perhaps, just perhaps, Kimi Antonelli's greatest chapter hasn't even started yet. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Formula One's biggest stories, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next documentary. And now we want to hear from you. Do you believe Kimi Antonelli has what it takes to become Mercedes' next world champion? Or is replacing Lewis Hamilton simply the toughest challenge in modern Formula One? Let us know in the comments below.